Make you on.
Okay. So some of the things that stood out on the trip, I'm assuming, is what you want me to say.
That's it. Or say whatever you want.
Kabbalat Shabbat at the hotel. When everybody kind of came together, that was amazing. I think Havdalah, when we all came together at the end and everybody had their arms around each other, that was amazing. Walking through the old city and having Rafi explain all the history, because I love history. That was amazing. And I think, for me personally, because the last time I was here in 2003, there was the Intifada was still happening. There was a lot of tension in there. I didn't feel that at all this time. Everybody, all these railers were much more relaxed, much more laid back. A whole different atmosphere.
Great. Thanks. Yeah. Wait. What do you want to say, Rafi? Elon, you're next. Yes, Rafi.
I want to say that I was really honored to be a guy of this group. I enjoyed it very much. Even though I knew some people and, we dragged them along the road, but it was lovely and glad we were I was the guy.
We're glad you were too.
Alamai, next year you're going to come to visit.
Elon, what do you want to say?
Somebody needs from the bus something.
Is that it?
I'm here for driving.
That's it? That's it?
I'm not a speaker.
Okay. Lisbeth, what would you like to say?
I consider this trip to be a life-changing experience. To get the true sense of what Israel is about and to understand that it's not a conflict and not about fighting, but about being alive and having what was given to them. And some very moving experiences and a lot of great pictures. It was a great group of people, and having Rafi as a tour guide was unbelievable. He was very compassionate, professional, gentle, knowledgeable,
Like, how was it, Ruth?
Oh my God, Jesse.
No, Ruth, please be excited. A little more excitement.
Yeah.
I mean,
Put some energy into it.
Yeah, please, Ruth. Yeah, Ruth.
Stop holding back.
It was amazing. It was a fabulous trip. Everyone should come to Israel to see it firsthand because nothing compares to just getting here and being here and doing everything. It was wonderful. I did take adrenaline. It was the best trip. And we just have to market Israel in a positive way, experience Israel, and just make it something that every American Jew does.
Awesome.
I'll get you for that.
What do you want to say, Patrick?
I think that programs like this are needed for those of us that have become Jews by choice. This way, we really understand what it is to have a homeland. And I think this is something that if you're going to maintain what you bring in, you've got to support them, and this is one way to do it.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, video, we won't be on it. What do you want to say?
This trip has been just like a dream come true for me. It's really opened my eyes more than I thought. I knew a lot about Israel before I got here, and now my understanding is so much greater. Having been here and observed life as it really is, and not what you see filtered through the media or whatever. Plus all the additional commentary that you've been getting from Rafi and all the other tour guides and folks that have been at the various stops that we've had, really a good understanding of where Israelis really are coming from, and I think that's something that Americans need to know more about. How proud the Israelis are of their country, and that they make no apologies for the way they live, and we should be much more tolerant, and forget about the political aspects, that may divide us, and find common ground with people in Israel. So I know it's helped me a lot. I've been a Zionist for as long as I can remember, and I think I'm just reinforcing the faith now. So.
That's great. That's very well said.
Not taking notes, but I think something to kind of prime the pump as we get ready to depart on our way, and we've got some more stuff that we're going to do around that. I just had just a few questions. Is there a particular experience, or what were some things that you're going home with that you didn't have before you came?
Jewelry. Sandals.
Jewelry.
A better understanding of the political situation. Yeah. I totally agree.
Thanks to Rocky.
Rocky, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, better understanding of topography and geography. Great. Dharma.
Yeah, I find this how with all the stuff that goes on here, the normalcy of the people, that, nothing, hell and high water is going to stop them from living their life. And I think that's important. But the other thing was just the wall. Just the mere experience of touching the wall. It was like all of history came through you. And you felt all the pain, all the hurt of somebody being wiped out, which I related to in so many other levels. I thought that was really powerful.
Anybody have an experience or a particular thing?
The sense of normalcy was really what struck me, and also I was always fearful to come here, and I came with some fear, but I'm leaving without it. Because now I understand that even if anything happened,
It happened. We'd be here, we'd be fine.
I mean, think about it, 24 hours, maybe 25 hours after 2 rockets hit Kiryat-Shmona, we were there.
And that was so awesome.
Yeah, but Rafi was worried.
Hey, listen, I got 18 people with me. It's not this simple, it's my responsibility.
No, but that means it wasn't so normal.
18, you saw the driver is not important.
Oh, this is a good time.
Song time.
Wait. Someone
On top of the bus.
who's in the water cooler?
I also, when you think about what the government gave the Israelis, a desert, a Negev, and what you've done with it, was incredible.
It's almost like they didn't ask a question like, how are we going to do this? It's like, how are we going to do this? It wasn't a question. It was like, all right,
It was a
how are we going to do
statement.
it? Unbelievable. And I think
Why it makes the Arabs so mad, because they're just living in drought.
To the Christian faith to say, people, you don't know what you're about to lose, what has already been lost, what you're about to lose, if you don't support this state.
I agree.
And that, this is a battle that your holiest sites will be bulldozed, dug up, and lost forever, and a mosque will be built on top of it. Not that I'm knocking someone of Islam, but the groups that are out there that are so dangerous would do that and would be glad to say, bye, too bad. And history will be lost. 4,000 years of history that has built our country in America and is also building here.
Nice.
how has the trip changed?
Are you married?
And thank you guys. You don't know
Yes.
what a gift that was.
So nice.
To allow us to be part of that.
So nice.
We needed you, we needed 10.
We had 20. Did you see everybody from the beach that came out? That was awesome.
Oh, that's right. Only
Oh, yeah. No.
11, 12, 13.
No, in that wedding we all counted.
Yes, we did.
Just couldn't sign the tuba, but we counted.
I don't think she's over the tubing. That wasn't a short spot.
Hard to do there.
Anybody else, how has the trip changed you?
I don't know how it's changed me. I can go on for a couple of years. I think if everyone in this world walked in our footsteps as we have, then it would be better world.
Yep. Very nice.
I've been real lucky to be around some great people in my life. Some real heroes, some wonderful examples of what I should be or try to be. But Israel, the people of Israel, is the best example of the human spirit, the struggle to just exist. And on top of that, the struggle to have peace when so many would want them to be demolished. And you're not just existing, you're really reaching out and trying to have peace all the way. So it's the best example of the best parts of the human spirit, of a group of people I've ever seen.
It's nice.
And also, it makes me feel very angry at CNN and some of the major networks.
Oh, yeah.
And then someone seeing
all the media that gives a cemented, perspective to this.
We have to come here and experience this to know the truth about this country, and you're not going to get it unless you come here, and I think that's what I believe in, the truth.
I think it made us value one part of America that's not here, and that's the respect for women with the Orthodox and how they control the country here. It may be something that we could bring to them, because it's really sad to see, and having to be an educator to how they are not wanting women to continue on to be intelligent, but rather stay home barefoot and pregnant. I mean, it's like taking 4,000 steps backward. God gave us a brain. Torah was there to learn, to move forward, not to stay stuck or move backward. And I think that's something that's made me at least appreciate some aspects of America. Something we could bring in here.
Thank you. The first question I'm going to ask somebody, if they talk to them about Israel and they say something critical on somebody, have you ever been?
Exactly.
And if you haven't, then you don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to hear you. So I don't. Before I came over, I didn't know how I could have been a bigger Zionist, but it's made me a bigger Zionist. So. True. I don't know how that happened.
I didn't think there could be more.
Anything that you want to leave behind? Eccles home with you so you can come back with
Exactly, that's the plan.
I think there's three of us. There's three of us that are leaving our spirits, because we're planning on coming back next year to volunteer to do something for the state of Israel, to leave our mark on making sure that it's a secure place.
trees.
Jeez, that was so long ago.
I know, it was about a month ago, wasn't it? We barely knew each other then.
Discoveru was established in 1948, only 59 years old. It's true, we have been here before, we have a beautiful part of history, but as far as the Jews moved back only, most of them in 1940. And I think that we achieved something unusual. We have a high technology, you saw it. Not to say mazel tov. We have a
Double muzzle top.
And you saw really the agriculture that we're growing here. And what Beverly mentioned before, it was Negev. It was really a desert. And I'm glad that you came to see this here. Now you can be the ambassadors of this country without any problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We want to show our appreciation to both of you and Elon. We want to acknowledge you for your leadership and your willingness to be flexible with all of us. We're not. I think it's easy to work with 20-year-olds. And with all of us. You tell 20-year-olds what to do and they just do it.
I told you what to do,
And Elon,
that's fine.
I mean, unbelievable. And there is a letter that everybody put something for you, and a token of our appreciation for both.
And I want to tell Debbie and Mitch, you are well appreciated. More than that is that your efforts make a positive, significant difference in the lives of those involved. And let me tell you, mission accomplished. Thank you.
The price of gas went down, so everybody's taking the car out. And with such traffic jams, it's unbelievable. Let me tell you something. We met only when you arrived, and I said welcome home to everybody. At that time you may have looked at me very suspicious. What does he want from us? And just from hearing a little bit here, following up on everything that Debbie was writing on the internet, maybe you don't even know it, but when you get home you will see it, and following the pictures, and a little bit of talking to Rafi and Mitch occasionally, I could follow and see that really we touched something. And maybe we did make a difference, right? And maybe we did make a difference in your lives at this particular stage. You know, usually or very often we work with a lot of youngsters, and we feel that we work with young people, it's so much easier to make this change. Sometimes they may be a little bit more cynical. Maybe they're less willing to admit the kind of change that they're going through, but it's very, very effective. But to see the change that's taking place in people that are a little bit older, I would not say old, because I don't know where to put myself if I would say older. It's touching even more. And you never know what this experience that you went through, and as you said, it will take a while to sink in, what will happen day after day in your life from now on. If you just allow yourself every day, 1 minute to tune in to your feelings, what you went through and what's happening that you see on a daily basis, you will be amazed the kind of effect it has, this particular trip, okay, and may have really changed your life to such a situation, to such a position, that you may even make decisions now that you never thought you're going to make, ever in your life. And allow me to share with something for my own personal life, that how something, an episode, which will sound exactly the opposite of what you went through, that I went through, and what made me be here in front of you today, talking to you, and being so proud to be able to bring a group of people like you, and to be able to thank you for coming over, because actually you're fulfilling a mission that I set for myself, okay? And you're fulfilling this particular mission. I was born like many Israelis in Israel, okay, strangely enough. I was born in the first anniversary of the State of Israel. When Israel was 1 year old, okay, in the eve of the first anniversary, there was a lot of fireworks. My mother said the whole country was happy that I was born. That's what I'm carrying on my shoulders ever since. So you can calculate that I'm already 58 years old by now. I grew up like a regular Israeli kid with a lot of activities, and eventually you end up 18 years old, graduate from high school. For me it was 1967, right after the 6-Day War. Big heroes, my people are the greatest, they know what they're doing. I was drafted 2 months after the 6-Day War. I went for 3 years of what's called the War of Attrition. It's an everyday terrorist activities that were going on till then. July of 1970, I was released from the army, and like every other Israeli kid, The way that today they immediately travel outside. Most of them today they go to East Asia, they go to South America. At that time, I had $300 in my pocket, and I arrived in the United States. It was a big deal at the time. I arrived in the United States, and in January 1971, shortly after, and I did participate in the May Day and all the demonstration against Nixon. I had my hair long grow. I had my band-aid here. I did exactly what I was supposed to do in the United States while being there. Strangely enough, I participated in all of it. I was very angry when they were burning flags and dollars. Not because I wanted the dollars and I had only $300 in my pocket, because I thought you never touch symbols of your country. You may demonstrate against your country. You may not agree with what's happening in your country, but you never, never, never touch symbols of your country. This is a whole different story. I was very proud. I was a pre-med student. After one semester, I got on the dean's list, and from that moment on, I was a full scholarship. And you know what it is in the United States, not to pay even a single dime tuition. Not only that, I even was able to work. I worked at the university in the beginning, and in August of 1973, I even got a very, very unique job. At that time, as an undergraduate in Cancer Research Institute. Lithium Bionetics is a daughter company of NIH. As a lab technician. Now, as an undergraduate, working in cancer research, pre-med student, full scholarship, everything was going perfect. Really, everything was going for me. I could not complain anything. United States, America, here I come. Here I come. That's the greatest place on earth, for me at least at that time. October, 2 months later, Yom Kippur, Yom Shabbat. I'm sleeping, 6 o'clock in the morning, you're sleeping. I get a phone call. I said, have you been watching television? I said, you're kidding, it's Yom Kippur, it's Yom Shabbat, 6 o'clock in the morning. Turn on the television. I turn on the television, and what do I see? I see the Egyptian forces crossing the Suez Canal and hitting the same place that I was there for, defending these areas only a couple of years before that. I'm seeing the Syrians crossing the Golan Heights, and you've been up in the Golan Heights and you know what it means. They were all over the Golan Heights. And that's the only thing I see. I see Israeli jets falling like flies. And worst of all, I see Israeli soldiers taken as prisoners of war to Egypt and to Syria. And you know what it means to me? Only 3 years before that, I just was out of the army. And there comes the point that I see my superior officer when I was in a regular army taken on a stretcher to Egypt. Because he fell in the hands of the Egyptians while defending the Suez Canal. This was my superior officer, a guy that I admired so much. For me, he was a sample of a real fighter, a real hero. And here he goes into captivity. It just didn't sink in. It just did not sink in. I tried to do a few things, but I just couldn't manage it. And after 1 week, it took me 1 week, and every day I call my mother and say, hi, how are you? Everything okay? What's happening? This particular morning when I decided that I'm going, no matter what, I'll find my way to come back home. I pick up the phone and says, hi, Mom, hi. She says, hello. She says, when are you coming? I said, what do you mean when I'm coming? She says, I can hear it in your voice. And I hopped on the plane, and there's only Al flights. I arrived here in Israel. It was the beginning of the second week of the war. My specialty in the army, it's not something you can do much with civilian life, was to locate enemy tanks and to destroy them. In the belly of the plane that I arrived, we received new anti-tank missiles from the United States. But nobody knew how to use them. And the brochures were in English. And since I could read English, I had to sit down in the middle of a war reading the brochures how to use these new missiles. It took us 3 days. Yes, that's what it is. That's what you know, war is ridiculous. War is ridiculous. And if you don't look at it as humor, you get lost. It took us 3 days to practice a little bit, to launch the new launchers, the missiles launchers, on civilian jeeps, because there were no more army jeeps, only civilian jeeps, so we captured all the civilian jeeps. We put the launchers on them, and Appa was on the Golan Heights. By the end of the war, if you were on Mount Bental, by the end of the war in '73, I was way deep looking back at Mount Bental by the end of the war. But this is war, let's not talk about it. 2 months later, in December, I was allowed to go back to the United States because I was in the middle of studies, and they said, okay, all the Israelis here, they lost their studies anyway, they will continue on, even though the war was over, but still you had to keep on defending because it was not clear how the situation will continue. I went back to the United States in December. I come to school, very happy. After all, with all the losses and everything, we did win this war. We were able to push the Egyptians, we were able to push the Syrians. I arrive at school, and they tell me, well, you just lost your scholarship. I said, what? He says, what? You left in the middle of the semester, and you're supposed to take at least 15 credits with a 3-point-some average, and you just left in the middle of the semester. I said, hey, I didn't go to Disneyland. I mean, there was something there. I don't know why I went there. I'm not a hero, and I'm not happy to do any kind of fighting, but it's my people, it's my home. It was burning. What should I say? Sorry, let it burn, and not do anything about it? Sorry, it's none of our business. According to the rules and regulations here, you have to continue. At minimum 15 credits, you left in the middle. I went to my job. I just got a job as a lab technician in August. Sorry, you were fired. Why? Well, according to manpower, there was supposed to be a lab technician. You left your position. We don't know if you're coming back, right? So we have to place it immediately. I did apply to medical school in that particular year. I had 2 interviews. Both of them asked me the same question. If something like this will happen again and you're in medical school, will you get up and leave? I said, I did not plan it the first time. I don't know what will happen. I did not get in because I might be taking somebody's space. And my MCATs were high, and my grades were high. Only then I understood that there is no place like home. The only place I, as a Jew, as an Israeli, can feel safe and be always protected, no matter what will happen, is right here. And then when I made the decision that my kids I will raise only here. So maybe this is a small episode. It sounds big, but it's something that happened to me, and I listened to it, and it changed my life. Because by now I may have been doing something completely different. Eventually I got into medical school, and I told them, excuse me for the words, fuck off, I don't care. And I made it here. And to my happiness, all my kids are now in college. They all study here. They all live here. They all went through the army. They all travel. They have their own life now. Right? They make their own decisions. I cannot tell them anymore what to do. But they're here. And I'm so proud of it. Because I was able to listen to something that happened and changed my life. And I want to believe that what you went through here during this trip, if you just let it sit there a little bit, may change your life much more than you think right now at the moment. I thought I wanted to share it with you just to express to you how things could take place and how events sometimes make a whole life difference in our lives. So I really have to thank you again for being here. And I know what you've been going through with Rafi. And I know why we chose Rafi, and I'll do it very, very carefully. You know, when we do it, we're trying to do the best match possible. Okay, and only he could handle such a like yours. Okay, it's not easy, I know. Okay, but what I see here, it's a group, one group that may have come from different places, from different areas, with different kind of attitudes, different levels of understanding what Israel, what home is all about. Okay, and I think what I hear here is something that a full understanding, some kind of a unity. And this is the Jewish family unity that what we want you to come out with from here. One last thing that I want to do, and I let you finish, and then you know, after finish the sweets, I will